I'm thankful for those changes. I think it's been a real cultural change, and it's been challenging for some businesses because it's always been really tricky.
Hello, I'm Mike from 2M Legal, and welcome to the very first episode of The Law According To, a monthly webinar where we talk to legal professionals about their journey in law. And today, I'm delighted to be joined by Laura Bowyer, an employment law specialist from the Affable Partnership. Welcome, Laura. It's great to have you on our first episode.
Hi, thanks for asking me.
You're very welcome. So, Laura, let's start off with why you chose law as a career.
Well, that's a really interesting one, actually, Mike, for the simple reason that it wasn't really my first choice. I wanted to work in a very fancy marina in London doing bookkeeping,
Okay.
of all things. And then I came across a local role in a law firm, working in the reception. And then decided that was a bit boring. Then started to work for two fee earners, and then decided that was a bit boring. And the reason I say that, it was in the same firm, but they had obviously recognised that what I was doing was slightly more than the sort of administrative side, and I wanted to do more. So I decided that I would want to study law in a different in the different format, but working in practice as well. So I was quite fortunate to work in practice in different areas of law when I first joined. And part of those reasons was quite nice, because I got to then decide which was a favourite and which wasn't. Probate wasn't anything that I was interested in. I was used to have conversations with my friends that are criminal lawyers, and I remember saying to them, gosh, I couldn't be a criminal lawyer, and they'd always turn around and say, yeah, but we're not keen on doing the area of law that you did. And we then moved offices when the changes came in the particular firm I was with, and I decided to go to Southampton and work in the employment team. And there was just the two of us at that point, so we then grew the team. And that's really where I stayed. And that's sort of, as my career has unfolded, I sort of love working in that area of law. And like I said, my friends would sort of say, oh, I don't know how you can do that. And I'd always say, oh, I couldn't do conveyancing, I couldn't do probate, I couldn't debt collection, because there's so many sectors in law.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And as you know, Mike, they have different requirements, because the area that you're working in practice can be totally different. The trainee that we're working with at the moment, she initially was like, I absolutely want to do criminal, totally down that line, really find it massively interesting. And then we got chatting, and suddenly she was like, gosh, is that really what it's about? Actually, the theory that we learn isn't as exciting as how it would be for working in practice.
Yeah.
And I was able to sort of give her scenarios of situations that I've worked in practice and how the law works. And yeah, she's obviously on board and really enjoys the fact that employment is the sort of direction she's wanted to take her career to as well, which is very exciting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it about employment law that you particularly enjoy?
I think the thing is that every day is different. Our legislation sort of changes twice a year. And then, for example, we've had this new Supreme Court case that has come in very recently, which has turned holiday pay over on its head for certain workers. So you're almost having to keep on the ball the whole time. And I think, from that perspective, that's so key. Other areas of law are very different. They have, the legislation that backs into 1980s, whereas thankfully our legislation and laws move quite quickly.
Yeah.
It is, and I think also every day, I love the fact that every day is different. You can pick up the phone, and what has one particular gripe with a business owner is totally different to another scenario with another business owner. But it's all related to their workforces and how they manage those and support their teams.
Yeah, and I suppose the the dynamics of each business is different. Like you say, the kind of size of business, the kind of hierarchy and things, and also the individual personalities within that business kind of affect what you're doing quite dramatically, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen a massive shift, from how we were, how it was 3 or 4 years ago in practice in businesses, to how it is now. I'm thankful for those changes. I think it's been a real cultural change, and it's been challenging for some businesses because it's always been really tricky. The working from home one has its own teething problems, and certainly, that comes with situations where they think, right, okay, we need to change tack with how we are. Corporates are more challenging than the smaller businesses because they can't move as quickly or make the decisions as quickly as and again, as it's trying to support their opportunities and making sure that the teams that they work with come on board and are happy as they come on board, because of the new environment, and also what makes it appealing for those candidates working full-time or perhaps part-time or working from home or whatever with the new businesses. So
okay. And so looking back on your career, what would you say the biggest challenges have been, or the biggest if either individually or as a kind of collective, what's the biggest challenge you've faced?
I think the thing with a lot of it now is there's a lot of reading. I think the challenge is the theory behind what you put in practice are potentially be two different things. You can have the law and say, well, this is the law and this is what you need to be doing, but actually in practice, it's what's the best option for that relationship to be maintained. For me, it's not about a strained relationship with the individuals exiting badly. For me, it's always important that the relationships are left amicably, so that, let's face it, we all spend over 95% of our lives at work, and we want to make sure that we're happy. So I think it's getting that balance, and certainly with my business, when I set up, I had my own challenges when I first came away from childcare to then managing the business myself. Whereas the 9 till 5 Monday to Friday just didn't work. It didn't work in that relationship when you have other personal commitments, and I grew my business in a different way, and that's what's made it more appealing for other businesses to work with.
As a business owner, it doesn't exist, does it, the 9 to 5?
No, and I think, it's been in the background for a long time, but it needed to change. And obviously, sadly, we had the pandemic, so that's what made people have to review what they were doing. But it's also been a positive change, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of positives. Obviously, it was a terrible time, but a lot of positives have come out of it. As a business, we're now fully remote, which is something we almost definitely wouldn't have considered 2.5 years ago. Or we would have considered, but it would have been a much slower process to get to that stage. Whereas obviously we're forced into it, and actually because we're forced into it, it actually works really well, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the other thing is that we're all contributing to the environment. I think by doing what you've just said, a lot of my work is remote, and a lot of it can be dealt with digitally. Your footprint, if you like, is a lot lower because you're not driving around the country all the time. I appreciate we deal with people, don't we? So it's so important to forge those relationships with individuals as well as the businesses, and sometimes there is that need, but I do think that the shift has given us opportunity for that sort of hybrid. I call it the hybrid model, but it makes it easier for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So you've talked about your challenges. What would you say have been your greatest successes in your law career to date?
Oh gosh, I think one of them was a situation with somebody who many years ago worked for a big commercial construction company, and it was the first case that we got to court, that she recovered quite a hefty 5-figure sum The other side wanted to settle before we went to court, and actually it got further than that, and we managed to recover that. And for her, at the time, it enabled her to pay off her mortgage. She was, able to just feel wholly comfortable. It was a big sex discrimination claim. I was one of the first, I would say, lawyers that was able to get a costs order against claimants in the employment tribunal. And I think, again, being and working with other lawyers and legal advisors, there's always been a real success, because you certainly work well together. In terms of other success stories, I would say, being able to say no. One of the things in business that you learn as you develop and grow the business is not grabbing everything that's in sight, but actually being more focused on what actually is going to work better for your clients. And I had one last year who wanted to look at spending, I think it was about £30,000. And I turned it down for the simple reason that behind all of that was a huge amount of work. They had 70 staff, no contracts of employment. They had 4 ET1 claims for wages and discrimination. And part of that relationship was to be having it done for free. And I was able to turn around and say, do you know what, actually, that isn't the best input of my time. I wasn't able to then provide support with other businesses that I worked with. And that's always been, I think, I would say success has been working with those business owners at a more affordable rate, but also actually making sure that it's manageable for them. And really getting under their support network and providing that as a go-to. And because I think certainly as we grow and nurture clients, and I think sort of on average clients work with me for a minimum of about 6 years. Okay. In one way or one form or another, because you form those relationships and then it carries on with other opportunities that might arise. After all, we're all in business, and you never know whether there's an opportunity for them to come up. So
yeah, I think in a way it's kind of similar to ourselves. We like to be an extension of their actual business, and a real trusted partner, and we find that works much better when we are, like you say, a little bit more selective. We don't take all work that comes our way. We're much more selective and work with the people that we genuinely feel we can help, rather than just take everything that comes our way and hope for the best. That way just doesn't kind of fit. We can focus more on those clients. So thinking about people coming into law, whether it be employment law or criminal or whichever sector, what advice would you give to them, someone who's very early in their early stage, whether they're newly qualified or currently going through training, or maybe even a crossroads in their career? What advice would you give to somebody in that position, and how they can overcome that or how they can move forward?
I think, there's 2 different stages. If you're coming into law, just be prepared that there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of research, there is a lot of information that you need to absorb and take in and focus on, because that's the real sort of theoretical side of what you're expected to do as you go through your career. I've had this with a couple of trainees who've come to me and sort of said, oh, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. I'm trying to get a training contract. I'm not sure how it's going to work. And it isn't in the area of law I was really looking at focusing on. Obviously, you have to do different placements in different areas of law when you join as a trainee. But my advice is it will come. You've got to go through the tough, gritty part of it to get through to the other side, if that makes sense. It is hard work and determination. But you will get there, and you can make your own choices as you develop and grow. One of the things I always think is, I've been doing this, in my business now for 11 years, and I sort of think, should I have done it possibly earlier? Maybe is the answer. But I then look at that and think, but actually I had those huge amount of tangible skills that then I was able to transfer into my business and make it work for clients to their benefit, really. but I would say, keep smiling. Yes, you're going to have days where you just feel like, oh my gosh, this feels like it's all caving in on me. But you're doing a good job and you've got as far as you have. Some people always find, the income doesn't always reflect the work that they've done when they first start, and that's sadly part and parcel of how it works. Mike, with 1 year PQE to someone that's 10-year PQE, the increase in salary is very different, but that is because of their knowledge and learning experience. And the more that you can do that in-house, or on your own at one point or another, if you decide to go it alone, the better. But give yourself time to do other mad things. I was in a band. There's lots of other hobbies and interests that I really enjoy, and I've walked across hot coals and jumped out of aeroplanes. And I'm not saying you have to do all these
so tick those off along the way.
yeah, but do the things that you enjoy as well, and really importantly, and I know I've seen your posts, is and do what you love. What it makes you get up and go in the morning, and not a Sunday night thinking, oh really, is that what it's all about? Because that's not what it's all about.
Absolutely.
It is, for me, waking up each day and going, this is great, what have we got, look what we've got ahead of us today, that's fantastic. And the same with being nervous about having your first court case, or first court hearing, or going in front of the judge. With practices, they will be quite supportive and be able to say, look, come along to this, sit in the background, see how it actually plays out, and go and have a look if you can. I know they do this in uni now, where they can go and look at court hearings, just to get you a bit of a flavour of what all that hard work then comes to when you put it into play.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice, and I think, like you say, it's the journey, and the journey is your individual journey. And I think another good thing is, or another thing to remember, is try not to compare yourself with where somebody else is on their journey. Like you say, you could have started maybe earlier, but ultimately you're where you are now because of what you've done beforehand, and those experiences would have helped you in running your business, which maybe you might have run it slightly differently, might be in a different place in your journey now, but ultimately it is your journey, and you can't look at other people and say, well, they're doing particularly well, or they're where I want to be now. You've got to go through those experiences to get there. And try not to compare. I think comparing with that's you're just going to kind of really struggle if you compare yourself with others.
Absolutely right. And I think you become really good friends with people in the community. You get to learn about other areas of law and what they've done and their challenges. But someone said to me the other day, what would you have said to your younger self? I think that's another good one, is that sort of think, just enjoy the ride. Nothing's that stressy. It's easier said than done when you're through it. But yeah, just enjoy it, and be really proud of what you've achieved and how far you've already come, because it's the sort of background work and all the determination and grit that you have that people don't always see, and what you've had to go through. And I know sometimes people feel that they're rejected in job applications, and you see quite a lot of posts on social media of this is my 20th job. But if you get the right people like you guys in the background supporting, those successes will be much higher, and you're more likely to secure a role that you're wanting to be in, and enjoy that new journey, like you said.
Absolutely. And I love the little plug there. That's very good. We didn't even discuss putting a little plug in there, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No.
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think it's I think that's great advice. Okay, well, Laura, thank you very much for your time today, and your insights have been excellent. It's been really great talking to you. If somebody wants to get hold of you with regards to your services, how can they do that?
Okay, so yeah, the Affable Partnership is the business. I'm the founder. We're a team of people who provide different support for you and your workforce, and put people and culture at the heart of your business. If you want to get in touch with us, the email is Laura at affable, AFFABLE partner .co.uk. So yeah, that's really our contact plug, if you like. That's my plug.
Yeah, lovely. And we'll also put those contact details in the comments as well. We'll also put our contact details in there. So if you're a law firm looking to upgrade your recruitment process, or if you're a legal professional who is looking to progress their career, you can get in contact with 2M Legal, and we'll be able to discuss how and if we'll be able to help you. As I said earlier, we can't actually help everybody. But our contact details will be in the comments below. So finally, thanks very much, Laura, and thank everybody who's been watching.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. And like you said, you're the best ones to go to when they need to find need help with their job searches. So yeah, good luck with their journeys. And thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thanks.